go ahead and get started with the concepts around multimedia. So we're going to demystify them with respect to accessibility. So before we do that, let me just tell you a little about myself. I'm Aparna Pasi, the Director of Professional Services at Deque India. And I have 16 plus years of experience. I've been working only in the field of accessibility, let it be design, development, or consulting, training, all of those areas. But that's my focus has always been on accessibility. I'm a CPWA certified from IAP. That is the CCPA as well as the WA certified, right? So that's a brief introduction, and my email is on the screen, which is going to be aparna.pasi@deque.com, aparna.pasi@deque.com. In case you have any questions or would like to, have any kind of interaction, I welcome you to drop an email. And with that, let's see the agenda for today. So what are we going to do? We'll understand what exactly is multimedia, and then the parts of the multimedia, or what do we need to do to make that multimedia accessible, is what we're going to be focusing on in this webinar. And I'm assuming that anyone and everyone who are part of this webinar are already aware of what accessibility is. And so I'm not going to really touch base on that, but more about, what multimedia is and what do we need to do with respect to multimedia and accessibility. And at the end, we will have our questions and then wrap up, right? Okay, so what is multimedia, right? Multimedia is a form of communication that may have different content. It may be text, it may be audio, images, animations, or video into a single interactive presentation, which is contrasting mass media, like, our printed material or audio recordings, where that interaction isn't really enabled. But we will also talk about audio recordings only because they are really important for certain users, and the alternatives for them becomes all the more important. So when it comes to accessibility, we do consider audio recordings, and we do ask for certain, say, adjustments or certain things to be present as part of them being there on the page. All right. Now, what does the WCAG require? Again, for the benefit of everyone, WCAG is Web Content Accessibility Guidelines from the W3C group. These are the really building blocks of our accessibility community. Anything that we talk or we do should be based on the WCAG, right? And the goal is to really provide a single standard accessibility, which is meeting all the individuals, not just one set of individuals, but all the individuals, organizations, let it be Indian, international, all of these need to be met. Now, for multimedia, if you know the four principles, which are perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust, the multimedia concepts fall under the perceivable principle, right? So for accessible multimedia on the web, we need to be concerned with four alternative media types. And what are they? One is captions. The other is transcripts. The third one is audio descriptions. And then the fourth one is sign language interpretation. So these are all that we are going to really focus on when we talk about multimedia, or video or audio content that's present on the web pages. And they are, again, captions, transcripts, audio descriptions, and sign language interpretation. In the next few slides, we will understand these concepts, and we'll also understand what are the requirements from each level of the WCAG conformance, right? So understanding that becomes important, because otherwise it is not going to be an easy task for us to know what to do and what not to do. Now, what are captions, right? So if you're watching let's say Netflix or Prime, these days, you would definitely see captions being present, right? At the bottom, you would see the captions being present. And now, what is the difference between a caption and a subtitle, right? The general notion between the caption and subtitle is subtitles are like, the audio language of the video is in a different language and you're trying to have a translation as part of subtitles. That's one flavor of it. And sometimes the subtitles and captions are overlap, like they're loosely used in place of each other. But subtitles do not really have to identify the speaker or explain the background noise and all of these. But when it comes to captions, the requirement is that the person who is speaking needs to be identified. The background noise is like, if you see again in Netflix, there's like leaves are rustling, music is playing. All of these things are part of the captions, and because they are needed. And why are they needed? Because people who cannot hear would still want to know about all of those, all of those sounds or the noises or soundtracks, whatever you would call, to be identified or to be notified to them that this is what is happening, right? So captions ideally need to be having all of these as part of it. They should be synced, they should be meeting the color contrast requirement, because again, it should be easy for anyone to read and not too difficult to find what the captions are. So that brings us to what the captions section. What is it? Captions are text synchronized with the multimedia. That is really the very first thing, right? So what is it? They include, captions are text synchronized with the multimedia. The next one is, they are for people who cannot hear spoken words, right? People who cannot hear words is what captions are really meant for. Now, as I earlier said, people really get confused between captions and subtitles, but they're not the same thing. Though they are both text synchronized with the words in a video and appear in the same location in the media, usually at the bottom of the screen, they are different. Captions can be thought of as a transcription of dialogue for people who are deaf and hard of hearing, while subtitles are essentially helper text for people who can hear the audio but may not understand what was said, right? Different words, garbled speech, all of these are really examples. Now, they are, as I said earlier as well, certain geographical locations, these differences are very subtle, and they do use the words interpretively. So it is very important for you to double check the terminology if you are dealing with a specific location. What does they really mean by captions and subtitles? And the last one is the captions come in two flavors, open and closed. The major difference between the open and closed is that the open captions are always available. Closed captions are the option is given to the user, right? It can be turned off by the viewer with the click of a button, and open captions are always available and cannot be turned off depending on the situation or how the multimedia is going to be consumed. Either of that method can be preferred. Okay, there is really no hard and fast rule about what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. Now, this is the example of the caption. I just gave a link from the YouTube about our digital accessibility channel, Deque's digital accessibility channel. You can look at it and see how the captions are being given there. Now, we also come across something called auto captioning, right? So that is something that we usually see a lot. Like, why should we really spend time in captioning? Why can't we just use auto captioning that is enabled by a lot of platforms? Now, for example, YouTube, right? So the next screen I'm going to show is pretty interesting. So what do we see? We see a piece of meat getting grilled in an oven. And what does the audio say? It says broil on high for 4 to 5 minutes. You should not preheat the oven. Okay, that is what it says. Now, what is the automatic, the caption that is auto-generated? Broil on high for 45 minutes. You should know to preheat the oven. It's not 45 minutes, but it's 4 to 5 minutes. And it's not to how to preheat it, to know how to preheat the oven, but it is not. Because auto captions, yes, they are there, but they are not at a stage where we can believe that they will be accurate. So knowing this difference and understanding the importance of the captions for people who cannot hear is really, really important. Because if I'm there and I cannot hear, and this is what I read as an instruction, I'll definitely go and do that same thing to the piece of meat, which would end by the ending, it would be a cruel thing that we can do to a food. So know the intention and the users to be able to get the correct captions. Now, what are the requirements from the WCAG, right? For pre-recorded multimedia, captions are a requirement at the A level and at the AA level, okay? For multimedia, they are encouraged, live multimedia, they're encouraged at A, and at AA, they are required, okay? So of course, if AA is required, then definitely AAA is required. But we all know that the standards is stop at level AA. Why? Because level AAA is really difficult, may not be applicable to all kinds of content. So if your organization wants to embrace it, we really welcome it, but it is not really a mandate that you need to be level AAA compliant, right? And most of the checkpoints relating to multimedia and WCAG are from between 121 to 126. These are the checkpoints that focus on multimedia, and we are focusing the same, but we are more focusing at the conceptual level, which is the captions. Okay. Now, after captions, what do we have? We have transcripts. Now, what are transcripts? Say, for example, you have an audio podcast. Okay. You are listening to probably a speech or a class by a professor, and one of the audience ends up to be hard of hearing. So everyone else gets the benefit of being able to understand what the professor is telling us, but that one person may not be able to because he cannot hear, and the captions may not work out because it's not a video, it's an audio only content. In those cases, what is really needed is transcript, right? A text transcript, which is going to give the information. So what is it? Transcripts are text-based documents that serve as an alternative to information presented in an audible and visual format. Okay, these text transcripts really are mandatory for audio-only content because there is no other way. And for video, it is going to add more context if you're giving, like, if you see a lot of courses in our LinkedIn Learning or any other LMS platform, you have the video of the lecture, and beneath that, you have the text transcript, which is being highlighted as the class or the session moves forward. The parts of the content gets highlighted, right? So that's a transcript. Now, these are similar to captions, but include more details. For example, who is speaking in an interview, timestamps. They take the experience to the next level by including important sound effects, as well as they're all present at one place, right? I can look at it, I can read the entire transcript in my own time rather than the captions, because captions, what happens is they are synchronized with the video. So as the video plays in, captions keep moving. But text transcript, the possibility is you can always go back and go back and read, or you can go to the video ahead and see the content as well, if that is what the user intends to do, right? Now, the fourth point is transcripts help people who are hard of hearing, who are deaf, as well as deaf and blind, right? Because captions need you to have vision. And text transcripts as well might be needing you to have vision, but there are the braille, refreshable braille displays, which can give the option to the deaf and blind users for their ability to read the content. Okay. These transcripts are also really useful for cognitive disabilities who want to browse through the audio and video information at their own speed, just like what we have just discussed, right? An added bonus is search engine optimization as well. It gets a boost with these transcripts. Your multimedia gets a real boost with respect to SEO rankings. So definitely a lot of multiple benefits to have text transcripts aside from having them as a mandatory requirement from WCAG. Now, I know the screenshot I have is not of great quality. It is a little blurred. Apologies for that. But this is the kind of a snapshot where you're having video that's playing to the left, and to the right, you have the text transcript that is displayed. And as the content is moving, so this video has captions as well as the text transcript. It's not one of it. They're both of them are present. And the transcript is highlighted as the video goes on. Okay. And the requirements are, it is required, like if it is audio only content, it is a definite requirement for A and AA as well as AAA. Which is live media, it is not applicable because you may not be able to transcribe right away, but captions for live media are a requirement at level AA, not the transcripts. Okay. The next one concept that we have around the multimedia is an interesting one, which is audio descriptions. Okay. So if you're able to see my screen, I have a picture of Bahubali, and this has, after the release of this movie, this has become my real favorite example to quote in these situations, right? So this is the ending scene of Bahubali 1, where Katappa comes from behind and pierces the sword into Bahubali, and that's where it ends. There's really no dialogue, nothing. Just this is the scene they show, and then they end part 1. So for everyone who are able to see, absolutely, it is like, you know what to anticipate. You know that Katappa is going to kill Bahubali in part 2, and you're really up for it. You're trying to understand what might have happened. But for someone who cannot see, this piece of information is totally not present until and unless a friend or a family member tells them that, oh, this is what is happening. And they would be like, really? I haven't heard anything, because there were no dialogues, right? A lot of situations or movie scenes would be present in a way where important information is shown, but there is no audio to support that. And that is when the audio descriptions come into play. Okay, so a major difference that you all need to understand is that captions and text transcripts are mainly for people who cannot hear or who are deaf. And audio descriptions is for someone who cannot see. They are supported. So you may ask, will text description be okay in place of audio description? At level A, as a minimal requirement, 1-to-1 takes either audio or text description to be sufficient. But at level AA, it is a requirement for videos wherever it is needed to have an audio description. The only exception is if that multimedia is an alternative for the text that is already present. But if there is no text that is present, which is talking about the multimedia content, then audio descriptions are a requirement. Okay, so you understand what audio descriptions really are, correct? So with that, what are they? So audio descriptions again, audio descriptions are a version of the multimedia file that includes a narrator explaining important visual information, such as unspoken actions and events for the benefit of people who cannot see what's happening on the screen. Okay, the second one is audio descriptions, unlike caption transcripts, are a recording of a person explaining the visual aspects of the video that aren't in the video's original dialogue or narration. Can be explaining facial expressions or scenery. They can convey visual information verbally. that dialogues cannot or other sounds cannot. Sometimes audio descriptions need to be very detailed due to large amounts of information, but there are not enough pauses in the video for the audio description to work. So then you enter extended audio descriptions. These extended audio descriptions are essentially expanded audio descriptions. In extended audio descriptions, a video will pause to give a narrator enough time to convey the information in the video. So if it is a small piece of information, that is different. But if it is not a small piece of information, then you can have these extended audio descriptions, which will basically pause the video and let the narrator complete, and then they will go on. Okay. And then the audio descriptions and extended audio descriptions primarily help people who are blind or have low vision, but could also help people with subcognitive disorders as well. Okay, but the main audience for audio descriptions is people with visual impairment, and the main audience for captions and text transcripts are people who are deaf. But they are everyone, like, people with cognitive disabilities who benefit from these two. For captions, I would say anyone would benefit, right? How many times I have watched a lot of European movies with the captions in English, right? So I'm able to understand. Now, are these captions? No, they may be subtitles, because they are they're giving me a translated version of what is happening, but I'm able to see them because of the presence of such subtitles or captions, right? You're commuting in a metro and you cannot hear, but you want to watch a movie. Captions would definitely help you. So apart from the regular users, apart from people with disabilities, everyone else can also benefit from these kind of things. Now, if you want to look at an example, you can just Google the audio description example in YouTube and you would get it. But the one, the one really that I like is for the Ice Age, where the, not the Ice Age, I forgot the name, my daughter's favorite movie, where, we have this video of a reindeer's tongue sticks to the eyes, and that the glass one, she becomes a snow kind of a thing. So it's a beautiful video. You can watch it. I guess I got the name. Frozen. Yes, Frozen. Thank you so much. Correct, Manasa. It is Frozen. So this particular scene is from that movie. So if you want to watch, the YouTube link is here. And that brings us to the requirements aspect. What is it really required for the audio descriptions? As I said earlier, it is required at A, AA, and AAA, but for pre-recorded multimedia and for live multimedia, which is like, which is happening at the moment, these audio descriptions become optional, but not something that you cannot accommodate. You can definitely accommodate these as well. But for pre-recorded multimedia, it is a requirement from the WCAG, right? Again, what checkpoints are we covering? 1212, 126. 126 is at level AAA, but 121, 122, 123, 124, and 125 are requirement from the till level AA for these concepts. Okay. The last one is about sign language. What is a sign language? This is really the language of people who are deaf, and they really take pride in it. If you see, a lot of deaf people do not like to have the hearing aids because there are a lot of difficulties that come along with it. So they happily communicate with the help of sign language. Now, what is sign language? Sign language interpretation for multimedia is when you add a video of an interpreter, usually shown in a box to the side of the video, who narrates the audio portion through the sign language. I mean, if you have been to certain conferences, you might actually get to see this live. There will be sign language interpreters who, as in we are talking, they interpret, they kind of do the sign language interpretation. And if you're live streaming your event, typically the sign language interpreter is in the same room as the speaker to one side. That is what we have just discussed now. Sign language interpretation is important for multimedia since for many people who are deaf, sign language is their first and most fluent language. Sign language interpretation is often more expensive than just written transcripts. So it can provide a much richer experience than captions or transcripts alone, but definitely comes with a little extra financial burden for the organizer. However, sign language interpretation can be cost prohibitive to many organizations, and that is exactly what we just discussed, right? But for conferences and important events, though it is cost prohibitive, the organizers of the organization need to have such interpreters for the benefit of everyone. Saying that, is it easy? Not really. We have over 300 different versions throughout the world. There's American Sign Language, then there is Indian Sign Language. Within the Indian Sign Language, there are different languages, just like our spoken languages in India. There are a lot of these. So, the deaf community is working to come up with a USL, which is a unified or universal sign language, but it hasn't yet been there. They may be similar, but certain aspects of it might be different. So it is going to be the location or geographical specific recommendation that we will have to give. Okay, so that brings, is it a requirement? Not at A or AA, but at AAA, yes, it is a requirement for pre-recorded, not live, but for pre-recorded multimedia, it is a requirement at level AAA as well. Okay, now that we understand the concepts, what do we do? How do we make our multimedia accessible? One, first focus on getting your captions in place and accurate, right? They can be time consuming, and trust me, they are, but they're also fairly straightforward tasks. If you get used to it, it becomes really easy. And there are a lot of tools out in the market now which can really make it happen as well pretty easily, but doing that is important. You can also pay for captioning services if you have the infrastructure or the financial backup, but it is needed for you to do that. The next one is work on your transcripts or audio descriptions. Often you can get a good baseline script from your captions, but there may be an additional work that you will have to do, which will need to be added along with the video, and especially for audio descriptions, these need to be planned. If you need to add a sign language interpretation, leave that to the pros, because it's not an easy thing. There are experts who specifically do that. So in case you need to do that, then please make sure that you are contacting your local companies or local experts to provide you that service. That is not something that we all can pick up easily. If you are able to, then it's a great thing. But otherwise, there are professionals who can render this support. Captions, audio description, text transcripts, you can do it yourself with little practice and commitment, but I wouldn't suggest for the sign language. So understanding these really concepts makes it easy for any of your multimedia, right? Like these days, we're all presenting online, our meetings are online. Many times we show or we share our screen, and we just forget that there may be people who cannot see clearly or who are not able to see, and we just say as shown on the screen, right? That may not be evident for the other users. So taking care or being a little conscious about who all could be our end users can really benefit you in a long run, right? Just explaining your screen, emphasizing on that can be helpful. Having captions or, the ability to provide the recording with captions, all of these really add a lot of value to your multimedia as well as to your organization's picture. Okay. With that, I am done with what I have to present to all of you. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have, but otherwise, thank you for the time and the attention, and I'm open for questions.
If anyone has questions, they can type it in the chat or in the Q&A box.
Yes, I saw that. So thank you, Narayanan. What language is the transcripts needed? So the transcript can be in the language in which you have, or as I said, it can be a translation. Usually, subtitles are the translations for the audio language, but otherwise, whatever language in which the video is present, you can provide. The captions are that, right? So go back to that point where I said, depending on the geographical location, you may have to decide upon it. There may be two flavors of the transcripts as well, like, one in the original language and one in English for the benefit of all the universal users. Thank you, Narayanan. There are certain checklists. Are you talking about specific to multimedia or PDF? Because PDF accessibility is a beast of its own. There are close to 167 checkpoints if you're talking about PDF UA. But if you're talking about multimedia, Satyanarayana, then it is going to be the same. Yeah, there are a lot of checklists that are available openly. You might be able to find some on our Deque University site as well. But it is 167 checkpoints that you need to cover for PDF accessibility against the PDF UA standards. Umar Shankar, unfortunately, there are no validation tools, but except for your manual intervention where you will have to watch the entire video and look for the synchronization. So when you're adding it, you may use tools to add them, but you will have to go through the entire thing to check whether they're synchronized, whether what you're hearing and what you're reading is the same or not. About the color contrast, like, having a solid background is really needed because sometimes the video changes the frame and the colors may change, and that can cause an issue for color contrast. So having a solid background is always needed. I think Ayush can definitely help out with this answer. Ayush, about the meeting invitation regularly being present.
I think Ayush has some audio issues, but
Okay.
just to address the question, most of our events are published on our Deque India LinkedIn page. So most of the events are there. And we also send out marketing emails from our marketing team, which kind of talks about our events as well. So if you're subscribed to our subscribe to our emails, you will definitely get it. And then Narayanan, Ayush can actually send you the link to our Deque India page where actually Rashika just published it on the chat. You can see the events on a regular basis.
Sumit, there are a lot of tools other than Adobe Premiere. You will have to look at your need. For example, I recently used, it was a very short 1-minute video, and I could use, a software AI-based tool that I could get through. Similarly, there are Caption Tube, Subtitle Horse, a lot of them are there. It depends on the need and your expertise with the captions, basically. There's, we cannot suggest one good tool. It is always your ease and your need. You have to decide upon that. Satyanarayana, you'll have to use color contrast analyzer for checking the color contrast. And then there are also PAC tool, which is PDF accessibility checker, that can give you certain automation issues. That is also an added need. Yes, PAC is another one I would suggest. That should take care of it, because PAC checks for PDF UA issues as well. And if you're getting a clean report from PAC, then your PDF can be, can be made considered accessible if all other things are taken care. No, I'll type in PAC, PDF accessibility checker.
Yes, you can get the copy of our presentation. In a way, it will be shared to all the event subscribers. And we will also share the recording of this session as well with everyone.
Any other questions that I can help you with?
Let's give it one more minute
Yep.
for some final questions. I think there's one question from Uma Shankar for now.
Yeah, which validation tool is best for website accessibility?
Okay.
Automation acts, user acts, that is absolutely zero false positives and all the real issues. And if you want a paid one, then of course, Axe DevTools is there. So that is, those two tools come to my mind. But if you're talking about any other, tool or assistive technology, then I will have to know a little more about it. But if it is automation, then definitely Axe.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think with Axe also you have the Axe DevTools, which is free right now. You can just install as a browser extension, play with it for websites. The Axe DevTools Pro and the Axe DevTools Enterprise, these are paid versions with extended offerings. We also have two other tools. One is called Axe Auditor and the other one is called Axe Monitor. With Axe Auditor, you are actually able to do both automation testing as well as manual testing. So if you are even trying to validate manual issues on a particular website, Axe Auditor can help. So for more information, you can obviously get in touch with our sales and marketing team. I'll ask the team to share their email addresses here in the chat. So it could be Ayush or Rashika you can get in touch with, and they can share more information about the tool. How do we install both these new tools when we have license for Axe
DevTools? So Narayanan, you have Axe DevTools license and you want to install Auditor and Monitor. Are we understanding you correctly?
Okay. Got it. So if you need Axe Auditor and Monitor trial licenses, because all of these are paid tools. You will have to get in touch with our sales team, Rashika or Ayush. There are certain validation checkpoints that we have to check before we can allocate you the licenses. So I think they can help you with that. But yes, we can definitely take care of that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Satyanarayana, you don't have to fix AAA, only A and AA to be compliant from the standards point of view. You want to go an extra mile as an organization, then absolutely you can go ahead with AAA wherever it is needed. But the requirement from the standards is WCAG 2.0 or 2.1 level A and AA checkpoints only.
Ayush, if you could also share maybe the LinkedIn profiles of you, Rashika, as well in the chat, so that anyone who wants to connect and talk to you guys, they can connect via LinkedIn as well. Just for everyone's FYI, our team is very, very active on LinkedIn, and you can also message them and talk to them as well there. All right, great. I think thank you so much everyone for joining this session and asking super relevant questions. We feel honored that you felt the session was useful, and we look forward to conducting more sessions like this in the next few weeks to come. Looking forward to your participation again then, and wishing all of you have a great day ahead. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Thank you.